Welcome back to episode 10 of the Kenpo Corner. In this episode, we are going to talk about the different salutations that can be seen and used in the Kenpo system and in different Kenpo schools, depending on which one you go to. The first couple ones we're going to go over are what we call bows versus a salutation. Normally, a bow is to an inanimate object, where a salutation is to a person or a group of people, instructors, audiences, things of that nature. But that doesn't always apply, as I'm going to show you here. So the first one we're going to talk about is a standard bow, which is seen in the martial arts in almost every school. Not so much in Kenpo schools, but it is seen throughout the martial arts systems. And that's where you, in a neutral stance, you have your hands together and you just bow slightly to your opponent, keeping your eye on your opponent. And usually this is done when you enter a school, such as when you're going onto a mat, when you're leaving a mat. It's also been used as acknowledgments. If you're sparring with somebody and you really get a good hit on them, they may bow to you and acknowledge in respect of what you've just done. Sometimes when you're switching out between instructors in the middle of a class, the instructor has to leave for some reason to take care of something. One instructor, as they come up on the mat, would bow to the other instructor and acknowledge of respect. It's not always done that way, but it is a way that this particular bow is being used. The second bow is when you're in full contact. Some schools and the other martial arts schools will do this, but there again, not so much in Kenpo, is you're in a neutral stance and your hands are in front of you. It's real similar to like a goju salutation. When they start, they'll start from here and then do katas or whatever. Usually the only time you see this in Kenpo schools is when you're doing full contact sparring. The other one that you will see, and this one's even rarer than the last one, is when you go do a no-holds bar fight within a Kenpo school. You have the hands in a hand sword position or chop position, and you would bow that way. And those are the three bows that you might see at different Kenpo schools that you attend or visit. The more traditional salutations, which we'll do next, is one either called a meditative horse stance or called a basic Kenpo salutation. And that's where you step out left, where your left hand makes a fist and your right hand makes a shield. Now keep in mind, if someone is teaching you, they usually will do the opposite. They will step out right, and right hand makes a fist and left hand makes a shield, and that's to mirror you. But as a student, you would always step out left, left hand makes the shield covers the fist or the weapon, and then if you're doing a meditative horse stance, you would bow your head and you usually stay there for about 60 seconds before and after a class. Before the class is to clear the mind and get you ready for what you're about to do, and after the class, it's to clear the mind and reflect on what you've learned in that day's class. Now the basic salutation, as I said, is done usually in before and after katas, usually short 1, short 2, long 1, long 2, and long 3. And then from short 3 on up, you do your more advanced salutation. Now if you're doing it for competition, they don't usually use the basic salutation. They'll use the more advanced formal salutation, which I'll show you later on in this episode. Now when it comes to the basic Kenpo salutation, there's different ways of doing the hand placement. One thing is always the same, is you step out left, your left hand makes a fist. Fist is about a 45-degree angle. The difference now becomes with the right hand and the shield. Some will cover, some will place it fist up, some will place it behind or at a slight angle. They're all correct. There's not one better or one right or one wrong. It's just depending on the person, the instructors, and what they prefer and when they prefer it. Now also with the basic Kenpo salutation, when you're stepping out and you bow. Now sometimes this will also be used if your instructors are switching out, or there again, if you're in a sparring situation and you give someone a really good hit, they may do that salutation to you, or they may put the foot forward as they do the salutation. I should say the right foot forward in this case, as they do it, as they bow you in and out and switching out instructors. The next salutation is the advanced salutation. Now there's two different forms of this one. If you're in Tracy's, they do one way, and White Tiger has added some of the way that Parker does it in one of their katas. And this is where you start from your neutral stance. Your left hand comes, your right hand comes by your ear, and your left hand comes up like this. And then from there, you're going to present your weapons. Then the hands come back to back as you step back into neutral stance and hands in chamber. Now with Tracy, that's where it ends. Okay? You do your right, left, back to back, hands back into chamber. Now, American Kenpo, they have an additional motion to this. Once their hands come back here, the hands will come back out and present your hands. Then you go to a pray position. Then you go back into your salutation, and then you bow. White Tiger only uses this when they do short 4. All the other times, it's the first half of that. And that kata, or that salutation, is only done with katas. It's not done before class or after the class. You only use your basic salutation for that. Now, about the advanced salutation, some other side notes on this. One side note is, if you're doing a kata competition, you might see students who are about to perform in the competition put their hands in this type of a manner, or 2. And what they're doing here is they're acknowledging and letting the judges know what kata they are about to do and what side they're doing it on. For example, short 1 on the right side would be your index finger bent, and you would just do it on the right side. But if you're going to be doing short 1 right and left, you would do right, then left, then go into your salutation and continue on with the technique, or the form, I should say. If you're doing long 1, it would be 1 finger to the right. If for some reason that you're doing it power side, weak side, you would do 1 finger to the right, 1 finger to the left with the palm, just like this. Okay? If you're doing long 2, 2 fingers, and so on, and that's how they know which kata you're doing without you actually having to say it. And then you would go on to the formal salutation. Okay, so those are your basic salutations within the Kenpo system. There again, as a recap, you have your standard bow, which is done usually before you get onto a mat or leave the mat, or there again as a sign of respect from one instructor to another, or from one student to another, to let them know you did a good job, or to show the respect before you take over the class for another instructor. And then you have your a full contact bow, which are the feet are still together, just hands are out like this, and then you bow. And sometimes it's just this, and then you go into your sparring stance. You may not actually have the bow itself. You'll just put the hands together and then go into your fighting stance. And then you have the no holds bar, same thing, hands in a chop position, 45-degree angle. And then from there again, sometimes they'll actually follow that with a bow, and then sometimes they'll just get in their ready position. And then you have your basic Kenpo salutation. And really the only difference between the salutation and a meditative horse stance is, with the salutation, you literally just bow and done. When you're doing a meditative horse stance, the hands will stay there, and you'll take about 60 seconds to reflect on what you're about to do or what you have learned in that class. And also, that is done before and after each class. It's also done before katas and sets. So if you're doing finger set or a finger set, blocking set, any of those type of sets, you would start with the salutation and then continue on with the set. Or if you're doing short 1, short 2, long 1, long 2, and long 3. After that, you go into, I don't want to say your technique katas, because long 3 is made up of techniques, but more from short 3 on up. So short 3, long 4, long 5, long 6, because short 3 is actually the last short kata you do. After that, unless you're learning short 4, some schools still teach that. White Tiger still teaches it as part of their curriculum, and some American Kenpo schools teach it. Tracy's just started bringing that kata back into the system, so some do and some don't, and it's usually not a requirement as much as an extracurricular activity. And then you have your advanced salutation. which depending on if you're doing a form, you may start it with your form acknowledgement, power side or weak side or both, and then the hands come up by the ear as your right foot steps out at a 45 or at an angle, let's say pointed towards the 3 o'clock position. Then you present your weapons, and then you roll the hands back into salutation. And if you're in an American Kenpo school, that salutation will continue on with the palms facing away, thumb and forefinger together, and then you bring it down to a prayer position, then your salutation, and then your bow. So it depends on what school you're in. Will depend on how you use these salutations and when you would use them. I hope this helps you with learning more about the Kenpo system and the salutations that are used within the system. So until our next Kenpo Corner, keep moving forward and have a great day.